Welcome to Mind and Movement, getting smart about how you move. I'm Hazel. Thanks for joining me for this coffee and move 9. This is where we drink coffee, do some moving and talk shop, basically. It is day 6 maybe of our retreat here in New Zealand, and today I just wanted to go back to that idea of standing on one leg. So remember we talked the first time about the difference between having both of your legs straight versus one of them bent. So both of my legs are straight, yet one of them's off the ground, which means that I'm pushing down through this leg into the ground. If I don't do that, if I say bend this knee and just relax through my hip here, I'm hanging on my ligaments and making my ligaments too long basically and not using my muscles. So I want to straighten this leg, push down through the heel. For many of you that will feel quite foreign, and that's absolutely fine. And then you're just going to stand on one leg while taking a sip of coffee. Cheers, Jenny. This is nice coffee. This coffee isn't from Jenny, but this cup is. Okay, so I'm standing on one leg. And I'm just balancing, and I can feel my butt, my lateral hip, so this area here being used. And one of the reasons why I can feel that is because I've learned to turn my quad off when I'm standing on one leg. I'm going to come a little bit closer to the camera so you can see my quads, these muscles here. Can you see that now they are on? I've turned them on. And I'm squeezing them, and I've let them go. Now they're off. If you watch my knees, you may not be able to see it, it may not be close enough. But many of us stand there with our quads on all the time. So what I want you to do is to cue into your quads and see if they're on. So is your kneecap being pulled up? So let's go ahead and stand on that other leg. And this time just think about, is this quad on? So from the side, you'll notice that my leg is straight. I don't have a wee bend in my knee. Lots of people teach you to have a wee bend in your knee. I don't know why that is. It'll just make you really tight behind the knee. And you don't want to have a hyperextended knee, but I don't. I just have a straight leg. And so here, my quad is off. I can turn it on and then off, on and then off. So here I can access this lateral hip because I'm not using the quad. So if you can't feel much in your lateral hip, it's quite possibly because your quad is on all of the time. And I will make a video about how to turn your quads off soon. But all you want to do, if you can't do it standing up when your quads are loaded, you might want to try practice leaning against a wall. Have your legs straight, and then turn your quads on, turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, and just practice what it feels like to have them being turning on and off when they're not being loaded with your full body weight, so I'm leaning against the wall. Then you can start doing it on 2 legs. When you're just loaded on 2 legs, can you turn them on, off? I'm not sure if you can see what my quads are doing there, but on, off, on, off. So having your quads off when you are standing on one leg with a straight leg will load the lateral hip and make our lateral hip stronger. If you've got a wee bend in your knee and you've got your quad on, you're going to be using this muscle, so not as much load is going to go up to the lateral hip. Anyway, this is standing on one leg. Standing on one leg is a really important thing for walking because it's what we must do. We must stand on one leg and then stand on the other leg and then stand on the other leg. And if we do this one, where we go to stand on this leg but we're not strong enough and we just kind of hang, my knee's bent. Now for walking, the only option I have is to use my hip flexors to lift my leg forward, and then I'm going to kind of fall forward. But if I can lift my body up, I can swing my leg through and take a step like that. And so when you're watching a really good walker walk, you won't see much movement of their pelvis. And you won't actually see their knees bending very much either. Anyway, more on that next time or later. So something else we can do is we can stand on one leg up on something, and just for starters make sure that we're really getting our foot up off the ground. If you've got an artificial hip, this is not a good thing to do. If you've got an artificial hip, stay on the ground when you're doing these things, because the load of coming down eccentrically can be too much, especially if you've got one of the older artificial hips. The newer ones tend to be a little bit better. But I'm just going to stand on this and just kind of try and move my body around with this straight leg. I'm not bending my knee, I've got a straight leg and I've got my quad off. And I'm just going to try to not use my hands very much, but I'm going to try and lose my balance and then just kind of regain it. So I'm just asking this lateral hip basically to control, to be strong, to control the lateral hip. And we can do that on the other side. I'm trying to lose my balance, basically. It's a fun one. Okay, so legs straight, and again, when you are standing, you don't want to have that pelvis thrust forward, you want to get that weight back in your heels so that that femur is vertical. So part of the things, some of the things we need to do to become better walkers is to strengthen our lateral hips. These things, standing on one leg, will turn it into the pelvic list at some point, but standing on one leg is a really great thing to do to start to strengthen your lateral hip. If you can turn your quads off, even better. That might take a while, especially if you're a cyclist. Cyclist tends to have over-dominant quads. Many of us do have quads that are on all the time. So play around with that, it might take a while. What I'm going to do now is come down and do a straight leg forward bend. So I'm just going to put one foot out the front, and then I'm going to tilt forward as much as I can at the hips. Then I'm going to get a little bit of spinal flexion. There's nothing wrong with spinal flexion, it's just that you want to know when you're doing it and know when you're not doing it. And then I'm going to drop my head forward. And I recommend you hold that for a couple of minutes. I'm not going to hold it for that long now, but same thing on the other side. And when you're sitting here, is your quad off or is there tension in your quad? Turn your quads off. If, like, for some people, being up like this in this position, this might actually hyperextend their knee. Their knee might go down too low. And so if that's the case, you can use bolsters. Like I'm going to use this cushion to put it in underneath. That's actually a bit big for me, but I took this bolster, put it in just there so I can keep my knee in a neutral position. You can use bolsters in all kinds of ways to make sure that your body is in a better position to receive a load, basically. And so for me, now I'm going to hinge as far forward at the hips as I can, then get a little bit of spinal flexion, and then just drop my head forward. And here, yeah, I can feel good stretch kind of in my lateral line, coming from my glutes down into my ITB. Not so much in the hamstring. More in the hamstring when I stay up in this position more, and I'm getting more movement at the hip joint. Cool. The next thing we're going to do is a little bit of calf stretching. I'm going to use this half roll. You can use a rolled up towel. We've done this one before. You are just going to stand in a good neutral stance with your weight in your heels and your foot up on something. So from the front, it looks like this. So again, you can see that my legs are two parallel lines. I'm not standing with my legs really wide. I'm not standing with my legs super close. My feet are relatively pointing straight ahead, and the weight is back in my heels. So from the side, I look like a straight line rather than looking like a banana. You don't want to look like a banana from the side. And again, when I'm doing this exercise, are my quads off or are they on? And if they're on, see if you can turn them off. One of the reasons why many of us have really on overactive quads is because our calf is really tight. So in this position especially, many of you might find it even harder to turn your quads off. Here's one side, let's do the other side. So the muscle we're stretching in the calf when we do it this way is called the gastrocnemius. It's the longer calf muscle. It attaches from the Achilles tendon and attaches up behind the knee into the femur bone, so it crosses the knee joint. The other calf muscle we have is called soleus, and it does not cross the knee joint. So in order to get more of a stretch in that, we need to bend the knee. I have a really long soleus, so I don't really need to do this stretch, but this is how you do it. So you get into that same position, then you're just going to bend the knees a little bit. I'm just going to get that leg out of the way. So I'm bending my knees so I can get some load into that soleus muscle. This movement here of me taking my shin bone closer to my foot or my foot closer to my shin bone is called dorsiflexion, and is a really, really important movement for walking in order for you to be able to take your foot behind you and still have your heel on the ground. If you don't have much dorsiflexion, you won't be able to do that, which might injure your lower back. So stretching your calf muscles is really important for your lumbar spine. And I've talked about this before, but we all have short calves because we all wear shoes with heels. Even if the shoe just has it's a sports shoe, it's got a heel. Your heel is sitting higher than your toes, that's a heel, even if it's only a centimetre or two. Transition wisely. I took about 3 or 4 years to transition wisely into really minimal shoes, so they don't have a heel. And yeah, I talked about it, but I wore some regular shoes the other day, and man, it felt uncomfortable and weird, and I couldn't move my foot, and I felt really disconnected from the surface I was walking on. I felt like I might slip over all the time. I just normally feel really connected to the earth, obviously, which is a good thing. Okay, there, so we've got the calf stretch, the soleus stretch, the calf stretch, the balancing on one leg, the playing around on different things. Don't do this if you've got an artificial hip though. And yeah, drinking some coffee. Drink some coffee, talk with your friends. Send me an email letting me know what you're up to over the next 3 or 4 weeks. I'd love to hear from you. Any questions about any of this stuff, please let me know. There's a lot of move notes on my website. So my website is mindinmovement.co.nz, and if you go to the move notes section, there are a whole lot of really cool books that I've made short 6-page notes on, and I've actually also recorded them so you can listen to those notes while you walk, and you can get them on my podcast app, which is just Mind and Movement. If you search that at any podcasting, Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or any of those things, you'll find it there. And there's also a few really cool interviews there with some people that I just love. Joan Bernicos, who else have we got there? The running guru, Phil Maffetone, some Frank Friendship, who's an awesome human. Lots of great stuff in there. Check it out if you're bored, and send me some questions if you've got anything you'd like answered. Thanks very much. See you tomorrow.